Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the next extension. Last time we did tables, ratio tables. Now we're going to do a double number line. Double number line is just a visual model that is used to compare ratios that have two different units. To make it, we're going to draw two horizontal lines, just like you see on the page up here. So it's very simple. The two horizontal lines go this way. Then you're going to make cross marks to cross both of the lines. So that's where we're going all the way across both lines. Extend it a little past the lines so you can clearly see exactly where it is. And then all you're going to do is you're going to take your ratio table, guys, and you're going to put the two columns on the two lines. It's literally that simple. Okay? So what ratio was this double number line built off of? Arturo? 1 to 60. Technically, I would have said 60 to 1 because you normally start up top and go to the bottom, right? Okay? So the ratio is 60 miles to 1 hour, or 60 miles per hour is how we normally say it, right? Okay? Pretty easy. And we'll work on this. The key advantage to this, guys, is where a ratio table only gives you those intervals that are solid. The double number line is going to help you visualize intervals that are in between what the ratio table gave you. Okay? We'll see that as we're going to do our problems today. Now, I'm going to admit to being a little wrong. We should have covered this, like, really in one of our first lessons, and that's the importance of defining our variables. When we are going to be working with these types of problems, we're going to be using a lot of variables. And before we assign our variables, you need to assign a label so that you know what it represents. So for our example here, this one we would say that the miles are X and the hours are Y. Now, I let you know, these are the two most commonly used variables. Anybody want to guess why? What do you think, Andrew? You don't know why we use X and Y? No, there's a reason behind it, Leighton.
They're like uncommonly used in words, so they usually stand out.
That's actually a good point, but that's not why we do it mathematically. Mark?
For X and Y axis, right?
Good. X and Y axis on a coordinate plane. Because the next step on this, and we're actually going to do this today, is building equations. And when you get into algebra, once you start building equations, then you graph them so you can visually see what the relationship is between them. So because of that, we use those two variables because it's going to make it very easy to make that transition into algebra and into graphing. So that's why we're going to use X and Y the most commonly. Now, one thing we haven't really covered so far, an equation. Equation is a mathematical sentence that includes an equal sign. So I hope you guys remember back when I said, really, if you start thinking math as another language instead of just numbers, it's going to help your understanding. Well, in math, we use equations as our sentences. This is a full sentence for us. Now, to build an equation from our ratio table, and we'll talk about this in our example, the first thing you got to do is determine which column you're solving for. And they're going to tell you in the problem what you're going to solve for. You have to define your variables, so you're going to be using variables to write your equations. Make sure you write down what those variables are. Put the variable you're solving for by itself. That's going to be the first thing you write down. You're then going to put an equal sign, that's why we say equation. The other side of that equation is going to be the value from the column you're starting from over the value from the other column. In other words, I'm just going to look at the very first line, which should be in simplified form, the first number over the second number. We turn it into a fraction. We're then going to multiply the variable from the other column by this variable in simplest form. I want you guys to add a number 4 here. Hopefully there's enough room on yours. Okay? And it says, it's so easy. It will make you smile. Easier said than written. Okay? So, we'll talk in just a second about why we're writing that down, but that is an excellent reminder for you to remember how to solve these. Okay, it's so easy, it will make you smile. So here's an example problem to try to start putting all of this together. So a recipe calls for 1 cup of white sugar and 3 cups of brown sugar. Woo, hello. Brown sugar. Make a table comparing them. So what's our instructions? Make a table. There we go. So what's the first thing we put in our table? Evan? Good. So what's my labels going to be? W and B. Awesome. I'm very glad you said that, because that is really what I want you guys to get used to doing. I don't want you to write out white sugar and brown sugar, because what I want you to do, use your variables, but then I'm using variables, I have to define them. And try to be as specific as you can when you define them. Make sure you include units. It's going to make your variables make more sense. So specifically, what is W? What about white sugar? Remember, include units. Ethan? Cups. So cups of white sugar. So now that you got that example, hopefully the B will go better. So B is going to be cups of brown sugar. Make sense? So what we just did right there, guys, that's defining your variable. So now, throughout the rest of this problem, wherever I see W and B, I know what those mean. Does that make sense? And by including the units, it's going to make the numbers make even more sense, because I know exactly that I'm talking about cups of this type of sugar. So now that we've got that set, and great job, I can't remember if it's even or anything getting us started, what's my next entry going to be? Mark?
The ratio of 1 cup of white sugar and 3 cups of brown sugar, so it's 1 under W and 3 under B.
Awesome, well done. Way to pay attention. See how marking that text helps us, Mark? Good. Okay, my next entry then will be, okay? 2 and 6, how did you get that? You did what? Added, so you added 1 and then added 3 on this side, right? Okay, so remember, show your work, guys. Come quiz time, that's going to be important. So I'm now going to add 1 again and add 3 again. Once I show my work twice, we're not going to make you do it every time. You feel free if you want to, but you show us at least twice so we understand you understand the concept. So then my next entries are going to be 412 and 515. How are you guys all feeling on making those ratio tables? Give me a thumb meter. Okay, overall really good. A few in the middle. Serenity? I missed your thumb meter. Okay. Okay, so we'll have a little more practice on these today. So now is the really easy part. So easy it's going to make you smile. This is where we're going to build the equations. So if I now want to solve for white sugar, I can now build an equation that's going to help me solve for that. So if I'm going to solve for white sugar, this is where I'm going to start. So following our directions up here, whatever I'm solving for gets written down first. So I'm going to say W equals. Here's where we're going to use the value. This is the smile part. All I'm going to do is follow the arrow. See the little smile? What's the first number I came to? 1 over the next value I come to? 3. And then step 3, multiply the variable from the other column, which is B. So you can now see we have our 2 eyes with a smile. It's that easy, guys. Okay? So technically what we're doing is we're using that value from the table, that ratio of 1 to 3, and turning it into a fraction of 1/3. Okay? So you can see that for the W, if I know my B at any point, say for example the 9, I take 1/3 of 9, that's 3. It tells me what my W is. And that will work for any value of B. Pretty cool, right? Now, even neater is I can do it the other way. So if I want to solve for the B, so now I'm going to start here. Now my smile just goes the other direction. So I go B equals What's the first number I hit? 3 over the second number I hit
1.
times the other variable. Is 3 over 1 in simplest form?
No.
No, I can make it what? 3. So I'd rewrite that as B equals 3W. So I've now just written 2 equations based on that ratio table. So easy it will make you smile. Okay? So just to show you, if I know any value of W, I can figure out how much B is associated with it. So if my W was 5, I do 3 times 5 is 15. I have my ratio value. Can I make this any easier for you guys? I don't think so. Believe it or not, I put a lot of time and effort into figuring all this out for you. So hopefully this will work for you. Let's go ahead and open up your modules right now. Should already be there, page 47. You want to do the next one? Okay. Okay, the first one, we're going to start at exercise 2. So the amount of sugary beverages Americans consume is leading health concern. For a given brand of cola, a 12-ounce serving of cola contains about 40 grams of sugar. Complete the ratio table using the given ratio to find equivalent ratios. So this is going to be our step down, step up procedure we did before. Okay, Cameron, I see you want to do one. Which one do you want to do? Step up or step down?
Step down.
Okay, if I step down, what am I going to step down to?
6 and 20.
How did you get that?
I divided it,
Good. So you just divided them both by 2, and we get 6 and 20. Pretty easy, right? What about our step up? What do you think, Justin? I'll give you a hint. We have an initial value of 6 and 20. Then we went to 12 and 40. What do you think the next one would be? Does everybody see that? So how did he do it? He said, oh, well, here I added 6. So here I add 20, add 20. Make sense to everybody? See why we show our work? Showing the work should make that easier for everybody. Okay, let's look at exercise 3. Here we've got a 1 liter bottle of cola contains approximately 34 fluid ounces. How many grams of sugar would be in a 1 liter bottle of the cola? Explain and show how to arrive at the solution. So here's our question. How many grams would there be? So if we look at our table and we extend it, we're not actually going to get 34. So this is where the double number line comes in, because we're going to be able to get those pieces in between. So to make our double number line, literally all we're going to do, guys, we're going to draw 2 lines that are parallel. Then we're going to just draw cross lines. Not like that. Anybody want to guess what our first numbers are going to be? Mark?
0, 0.
Awesome. Thank you. Well done. Okay? The other thing we need to do is go ahead and label what they are. So what are we talking about? Cola and? So what variable should I use? Maddie?
C and S.
C and S? Okay. So once we use our variables, now we need to define them. So we're going to say C equals, and again, use units where possible. You make your definition as clear as possible. If we're talking about ounces of cola, and it is okay to use the abbreviations for the units. And what is my S's going to be? In
grams.
Grams. So grams of sugar. Okay, so now we've got our variables defined. That's actually a critical step, one that you will lose points for on your quizzes and homework. If you're not doing, that's how important this one is. So now we have our 0, 0. What's our next entry going to be? Remember I said we just take our table and kind of turn it on its side. So our next one is 6 and 20. Then
12 and 40.
12, 40.
And 18 and 60.
Good job, Cameron. Uh-oh, now my table's done. Can I keep extending my line, though?
Yep, 24 and
2480, 30, 100, 36, 120. Okay, I can stop there because I finally reached my number I need, right? 34. So now here's where these become really important. You'll notice what I've got is every time I look at this, I know from the value on top what the value on bottom is going to be, right? Because they're directly across from each other. Here's where it gets a little tricky. Because where is 34? Ethan? It's in between those two, right? So now I need to figure out how far in between those two it is. So now I could actually do smaller lines here. So we go 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So 34 would be this line right here. I'm going to darken it, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Now here's the key. I know it's here, but do I know this number? No, but I know it's proportional, right? I know that this number is going to be the same distance between 100 and 120 as 34 is between 30 and 36. Does that make sense? Because everywhere along here, those all match up. Cameron?
You can simplify the 6 and 20 to find out what 34 is.
You could, but is 6 and 20 going to simplify easily? No. So we're going to do another option, which is, how far is 34 between 30 and 36? How many spaces over from 30 did I go? 4. How many spaces are there between 30 and 36?
5, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So there's 6 spaces. Can I simplify that? Yeah? Divided by 2 gives me 2/3, right? So what I'm saying is, I need to know where this number is. It's 2/3 of the way between 100 and 120. So how many spaces are there on the bottom side between 100 and 120? 20, right? There's 20 between 100 and 120. Do I know where that fourth interval is between 100 and 120? No. But what I can do is I can multiply by the 2/3. How do I multiply a fraction in a whole number? Evan? How do I do that? Awesome. I turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Because 20 divided by 1 is just 20, right? Because in order to multiply fractions, I have to have 2 fractions. Okay? So I now have 2 fractions. Once I have 2 fractions, how do I multiply it? Cameron?
2 times 20 and 3 times 1.
Good. Multiplying fractions is the easiest operation. All you got to do, take your numbers and multiply them. Straight across. 2 times 20 is 40. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I simplify. Turn this into a mixed number. How many times will 3 go into 40? Kenzo? 13 with 13 and 1/3. So 13 times, there's 1 left over. 13 and 1/3. So what is the distance that is 2/3 of the way between 100 and 120? 13 and 1/3. So what number is that? 13 is all the way down here.
Oh, 130.
How did you get that, Mark?
Because there's 13 whole from when you divided the 100 and 120. And when you simplify, you've got 13 whole
Okay.
and 1/3. And 13 whole on it, plus the 100.
Good. So I just add it to where I started from. Add that number to the 100 because I'm this far past it. So I add 100 to this. And then I get 113 and 1/3. So 113 and 1/3 is that spot that is directly below 34. Does that make sense to everybody? Why not? Okay. Are you confused that 34 is 2/3 of the way to 36? You're okay with that? Are you okay that there's 20 spaces between 100 and 20 numbers between 100 and 120?
Yep.
Okay. Are you okay that I need to figure out which spot is directly below the 34 to know where that is on that line. Okay? So are you okay that 2/3 of the 20 is 13 1/3?
No.
Okay, that's just mathematical. In order to multiply fractions, figure out where 2/3 of that distance is, I multiply the 2/3 by 20. Because that's the distance from 100 to 120. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Are you okay that I need to be find where that line is, it's 2/3 of the way across? Okay? So to do that, I just multiply them. Are you okay with multiplying fractions? Okay? So to multiply it, 2 times 20 is 40, 3 times 1 is 3. But we always simplify, right? Turn it into a mixed number. So 3 goes into 40 13 times with 1 left over, so that becomes my new numerator, 13 1/3. So you're okay with the 13 1/3? So I now know that's the distance past the 100 where that line comes down and intersects. Sure? Because we didn't get a chance to do this ourselves. So we answer our question. What was the question? Kenzo? So have we answered that yet? We have the answer, but we have not answered that yet. There are 113 1/3 grams of sugar in 1 liter of cola. Now have I answered the question? Yes. Did we do everything we were supposed to? Did I explain and show how to arrive? Can my work be my explanation? Yes. So I showed how to arrive, we're good. Making sense to everybody, guys? Okay, we're good. Well, let's do another one just to be sure. So here's some good news. Cross out number 4 at the bottom. You don't need to do it. Okay? Well, that excited you so much. Let's go to exercise 5.
All right, so the first thing we got to do is build a table, just like we did in the last problem. And this one right here, in exercise 5, it says, Chantel solves 3 math problems in 4 minutes. So now we have to build a table based on that information. So, you know that this is a 4 right here. What do we got next? Yes, Cameron. 8. Next. 12. Hold on, just 24, 28 you said? Then what, 32?
Yep. And then 36 and then 40.
Okay. So, we filled out our table. Now we have to make our double number line based on this information. Okay?
To make sure we try to work.
Up here. Okay, when you did this double number, or filled out the table, what did you guys do? What method? Yes, Arturo. Well, how did you get these numbers? What did we do? Cameron?
I did the additive.
Okay, he did additive. So all he did was he added 4 here, added here 3 here, then he added 4 here, and he added 3 here. Actually, right there. Yes. How did you get the 4? So it says it right here. She solves 3 math problems in 4 minutes. Okay, they're not always gonna give you numbers. They'll spell them out. So you have to make sure that you guys pay attention to that. All right. So the problem we have here on part B is Chantel has a soccer practice on Thursday evening. She has a half an hour before practice to work on her math homework and to talk to her friends. She has 20 math skill work questions for homework, and she wants to complete them before she talks to her friends. How many minutes will Chantel have left after completing her math homework to talk to her friends? Use a double number line diagram to support your answer and show all your work. All right, so we know that she has half an hour before practice to do her math. She has 20 math skill questions for her homework, and she wants to talk to her friends after completing them, and we have to find out how much time she has left once she finishes her homework. So that is our question. All right, so if we're going to do the double number line, hopefully my artwork is as good as Mr. Moore's. All right. So, what's the first thing that we got to do here for the double number line? Yes, Evan. What's that? Okay, we're going to label them. So what are we going to put on the top? Cameron. Q. We can put Q for questions. And then what are we going to put on the bottom? M for minutes. We can do that. Now, of course, we have to define these so people know what we're talking about. So we can say, we can say Q equals number of questions and M equals number of minutes. All right, so we've labeled and we've defined our variables. So where do we start? What's the first numbers we put down there? Zero. We start at 0. And then from there, we just fill in the numbers from the table. Okay, now in the problem, they said she has 20 math skill questions that she has to work on. So we really only have to go up to 21 questions, right? Yep. There's no need to extend it all the way out to 30. Yep. So we can stop at that point. We can erase this right here so people don't get confused.
Wait, can you erase that?
You can if you want to. I just did it that way we can see where we had to stop. All right, so now we're focused on the top line between the 18 and the 21. And we know that the 20 is in there somewhere, right? And it's obviously going to come before 21. So if you were to look at this at like a ruler, you know, the ruler has the little tick marks in between the numbers.
Yeah.
How many tick marks are in between 18 and 21?
3.
3. So we would have 1, 2, and then of course the 21 would be 3. But we're focused on 20, right? So we're looking at this part right here. So if we look at it that way, my 20 is not very nice, but that's what that is. That's 20. There's three lines in between 18 and 21. 20 is how How far the way to 21? Yes, Cameron.
It's 2/3.
2/3. It's 2/3 of the way there. All right. So now we have to find what this number is down here at the bottom that corresponds to the 20. Now looking at the double number line from 24 to 28, how many tick marks would be there? 4. Good job, Mark. So we have to find 2/3. We have to find 2/3 of 4. So how did we do it in the last problem? Multiply 4 over 1. If anybody's confused, let me know now. Yes, Bella. On what part? Okay, well, we'll sit down with you and explain it one-on-one. Anybody else? Bella says she's a little confused. All right, so now we know that we have to find 2/3 of 4. So this comes out to 8 over 3, right? How do we divide that down? What would it be? Does anybody know? Arturo. All right, good. 2 2/3. So we know that the 2 2/3 goes right there. So what do we do with the 2 2/3? Yes, Hayden. We add it to the 24. Good. So 24 plus 2 2/3 equals 26 2/3. So that's your number that's right here. That's the number that's right there. Now that we figured that out, have we answered the question? What's the question?
How many minutes?
Ryan, go ahead. Okay, so how many minutes is she going to have left after she's done with the homework? Well, we see that it's 26 2/3 minutes it's going to take her to complete her homework. So what do we do now? What do you got back over there? Nathan, what do we do? Not exactly. What do we got back there? Kenzo. Not quite. Who do you got over here? Michael. From 30, because it's half an hour, right? She has a half an hour before practice. That's 30 minutes. So it's going to be 30 minus 26 2/3. We're going to have to make this 29 3 over 3 minus 26 2/3, which gives us what?
3 1/3.
3 1/3. So she's going to have 3 1/3 minutes to talk to her friends after she's done. She's going to have 3 1/3 minutes to talk to her friends after she finishes her homework. So that will be our sentence. Huh? Yes. All right, so that would be your answer. She has 3 1/3 minutes to talk to her friends.
We'll say that. Okay, we ran out of time with B1, but we're going to go ahead and finish off this problem. This is on page 53, exercise 4. So it's going to give us a chance to actually work through building a table and an equation. So during a particular U.S. Air Force training exercise, the ratio of the number of men to the number of women was 6-1. Use the ratio table provided below to create at least 2 equations that model the relationship between the number of men and the number of women participating in the training exercise. Okay, in typical engaged New York fraction, they gave it as number of men to number of women, then reverse the table. So make sure you're paying attention, because when you're doing the engaged New York module, they do these kind of things occasionally. So we actually know that it's 1 and 6. So let's start by building the table itself. So I'm just going to do additive. So we're going to add 1 on this side, add 6 on this side. Guys, please don't forget to show your work. I hate when I have to take points off or silly stuff like that, because it's not too hard to do. Okay? So then we got 24 and 30. So we've now got our table built. Now, to build the equations is even easier. So easy that it indeed should make you smile. We're going to start our first equation at the W. So I just say W equals. Then we just draw a line going to the other side. The first number I hit is a 1. Second number I hit is a 6. And then we finish at the M. 1/6 is in simplest form, so we're done. Now we can do our equation going the other way. So we're going to start at the M, and we're going to smile in reverse. So again, we start at the M, so we do the M equals. The first number I hit was the 6. Over the next number is a 1, and then I multiply by my other variable. That one, however, is not in simplest form. We can take 6 over 1 and just make that 6. So M equals 6W. So at this point, we have 2 equations. Remember, the equations are a mathematical sentence, so we have technically answered our question with our sentence. So hopefully that one, I didn't go too fast. You guys can follow along and understand what we did on that. The nice thing about having the equation is now we can do stuff like this next piece, where we go, if 200 women participated in the training exercise, use one of your equations to calculate the number of men who participated. So there's our question again, using one of those equations to calculate. Here's your key. I want to find the number of men. That means I need to use the equation where the men is by itself. Okay? So we're going to use our equation M equals 6W. And now I'm going to do what we call substitute. We already know that W is women, M is men from our table above. So the 200 women is our W. So now I can now just do a direct substitution. M equals 6 times that 200, or 1,200 men. And then because it's a word problem, we'll just go ahead and put that in a sentence. There were 1,200 men in the exercise. Okay, so that should give you guys a good basis for building your equations in your homework. So let's talk about the homework just really quickly. You go to page 49. A couple keys that I've already highlighted here for you. Number 1 is your 2 intervals for the first one is going to be the $550 and then hours. So an hour, here is the ratio that they gave you to build your double number line. And it does say double number line right here in your directions. So please make sure you've used one. On your top interval for the dollars, you need to make sure you get past $52.25. I will give you a hint. This is going to be halfway across the interval. So it should make your answer on that one really easy once you've built the double number line. Number 2 is going to be a little more complex. When I build it out to 455 miles on my double number line, then it's going to be kind of hard to tell exactly where the 195, that 455 lies with those 195 intervals. I'll give you a hint. If you simplify down to a 1 hour, so divide them both by 3, then it'll be easy to see where that 455 lies in between on those intervals. And then you'll be able to figure out the hours as well. Okay? So number 2 does not say you have to use a tape double number line. It gives you a tape or diagram. A double number line is a form of diagram, so it's one I would actually recommend for this one. But if you're feeling more comfortable with something else, you are definitely free to use those. So that one is page 49. Page 55 is your next one. You should notice this one is basically directly from your notes, guys. So we've given you this first table. The value of the ratio is just saying what is the value as I go from white to black, or white to brown. So that's just going to be that 1/3. Your equation, we showed you that in the notes already. So the value of the ratio can be seen in the table because they're all equivalent to the 1/3. And then the value of the ratio can be seen in the equation because it's what I'm multiplying my second variable by. The second part of it is now white sugar to total sugar. So it's talking about the same recipe, meaning I can use the values from this table. So if I have 1 and 3, that means that when I have 1 white sugar, I have a total, and I can even add this one out here if you needed to help you get it, of 4. So that should now give you how to build your second table. Questions are very similar. So the value of the white, make sure you pay attention to the order. It says value of total sugar to white sugar, meaning I'm going this way with my 2 numbers, putting them in fraction form. And then, again, your equation, total sugar to white sugar. Make sure you write the equation in the correct order. Hopefully that helps everybody. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments or come in and talk to Mr. Vasquez or myself. Thanks, guys.